This has to be the most outrageous documentary we've ever covered. This is insane. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no one in it even like really believes what we're discussing. Like it's too outlandish.
It's too
outrageous.
outlandish, but it's like real, fam. There's like a real mystery here, but it's wild.
Is it a mystery? It's a story. It's a wild ride. I'll say that.
You know what else is a mystery?
Oh no,
Jillian Pensavalle,
Patrick Hines,
Hero Bell.
Ooh. Did you hear about yourself? Is that allowed? Is that like giving yourself a nickname where it's frowned upon?
Totally.
Okay.
Patch.
Ugh.
You know that Daisy calls me Daddy Patch.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's like, Daddy Steve, Daddy Patch. It's very
allowed
cute.
to. She can do whatever she wants.
I know.
So
Hi, Jillian Pensavalle.
Hi, Patrick Hines.
Hey, fam, join us over there on that there Patreon.
On that there Patreon over yonder?
There she blows. We got over 400 full ad-free bonus apps. You get one every single Friday.
Yeah.
We almost never take a week off from the pays.
That's right. We do only promise 3. I forget that.
Yeah,
but we just do it all the time.
We're so obsessed with it, we never stop. We just finished doing Never Let Him Go.
Yeah.
About the gay man who died in Australia 30 years ago, and his brothers like crusade to find out who killed him, and he does.
Yeah, we're doing Manifesto of a Serial Killer right now,
So
which is...
we're recording our first episode of that today. It is
It's really wild,
good.
yeah.
It's a very, very well done. It's a serial killer I'd never heard of.
Yeah, it's really terrifying, but it's very well done. Very let the women do the work. We're into it.
Yes. Patreon.com/truecrimeobsessed. We also do all of these episodes ad-free. We do the after party tier.
Yeah.
We send you stuff sometimes. Yeah. It's really fun.
It's a party. I'm saying it
Where's the party?
I wanna
Lose control. Where's the party?
Right? Something in our soul.
Girl, what are we talking about today?
All right, there's this episode of 48 Hours, and it is called, and I quote, I'm not kidding, The Case of the Poisoned Cheesecake, and that's exactly what's happening.
It's so crazy.
She doesn't do the in-your-face type of homicidal maniac kind of thing. She's not a shooter. She's not a stabber. But I haven't seen somebody this ruthless in a long time. I've seen a lot of murders. I've seen people killed with knives and machetes and guns, with vehicles, strangulation, suffocation. I have never seen anyone try to kill another person with a piece of cheesecake.
Until now.
Until now. I'm a private investigator here in New York City. I was hired to hunt down and assist in the apprehension of Viktoria Nasyrova.
As a perpetrator, she's 1 in a million.
I believe that Viktoria felt the walls were closing in on her. Viktoria Nasyrova had to be taken off of these streets.
I'm not a killer. I'm woman. Only woman.
I think anybody that trusts Viktoria has something to fear.
No one in this episode has ever heard anything like this.
No,
They're like knives, yes. Machete, no
Yes,
problem.
I was
Death
just gonna
by
say,
cheesecake.
Stabbings, fires, suffocations. Yes, I've never heard of a person trying to kill another person with a piece of cheesecake, and the host goes, until now? And then a guy goes, until now.
Let me ask you something. I'm not even the biggest dessert person, but have you ever had the cake that's called Death by Chocolate?
I don't really like chocolate.
It's like a layer. It's like it's an insane layer cake where there's like whipped cream and layer and then crunchies or whatever. But it's called like Death by Chocolate. I just thought of that.
Okay, great.
Because they said like Death by Cheesecake, I would never. And I'm like, right, but there's that dessert.
Death by
Chocolate.
I also don't really like the cheesecake. I'm not really a cheesecake person. I know.
Why would you say that to me?
I said, without a doubt, this is the most insane coming up on we've ever seen.
It just goes on and on and on.
And I was like, wait, should I be taking notes on that? This is wild.
Yeah. Peter Van Zandt is our host.
Yeah. Viktoria Nasyrova is our criminal.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it here because I wrote it down because I was like, this is going to be a hard one.
Okay.
Nasyrova.
All right.
Okay.
She's our perp, as they say. She's brazen. She's diabolical. We hate Viktoria.
Officer Kevin is here. He's like the officer who investigates this thing.
He'll never get over it.
He'll never
get over
He really will never. He didn't believe it until he did.
I know.
And then, but he's great. I kind of love this guy. He's a New York City cop.
He is.
So it all starts, we are told, on September 2nd, 2016. What seemed like a routine call, Officer Kevin tells us.
Yeah, this woman, what?
Well, no, what? It seemed like you really had something to say.
Well, I was going to say, like, I don't know. I guess if you're a cop, these are all routine, I guess.
Right. Like, we're going to get really into this scene in a second. Her name is Olga. She's a beauty stylist. She does eyelash extensions at a nearby salon. Eyelash extensions?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
It is. I've never done it because I'm afraid that they're going to poke my eye out. But I have a friend of mine, and I'll keep her anonymous because I don't want to, put her on blast if she's into it. But I said to her, the last time I saw her, I was like, your eyelashes are exceptional. I was like, what mascara do you use?
Oh
She's
my
like,
God.
girl, mascara, they're extensions. And I was like, oh.
Daisy has discovered
amazing.
mascara because I used to use mascara for my beard.
She's
for
putting
lashes.
her face mascara on her eyes.
Well, it's real. It's like ladies'
She's gonna get
mascara.
conjunctivitis.
I know. But the other day, I walked into her room and she was just standing in front of her mirror putting on her mascara. She loves it.
Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it really is Maybelline.
Maybe it really is. But here's Olga's story. So we learned that she called the cops, but here's how we got there.
She'd reported items, including purses, had vanished from her home. She told him she had just returned home from the hospital, where she said she'd been in and out of consciousness with severe dizziness and nausea. When he got to the scene, Olga, a Ukrainian immigrant, still seemed a bit woozy.
By the time the police get there, Olga is still a little bit woozy. And I said, did they release her too early?
Like what? Yeah, I guess.
It seems like she should not have been let go.
Like she just walked herself home?
That policy of needing a friend to pick you up or whatever was not in place in this hospital. And she even now, she does not remember talking to the police when they arrived at her apartment.
No. It's like when you wake up still drunk and you're like, did I walk the dog?
That happened to me the other day. Steve and I partied and I woke up, I was like, oh my God, I'm still drunk like I'm 20.
And then it's 10 o'clock and you're like, shit, I didn't take Golden out. Oh wait, yes, I 100% did.
Oh my God, I didn't bring it back.
Yeah. Oh wait, I 100% did. So here's all she remembers. Here's all that Olga remembers.
Was that a frantic client from the salon had come to her house, a Russian woman named Viktoria Nasyrova, who had wanted her eyelashes extended in a hurry.
I need an emergency eyelash repair done. Please, please, please.
I need an eyelash extension stat!
The cops are like, she needed her eyelashes extended in a hurry.
It was an emergency eyelash extension is what she needed.
Yeah.
And even Officer Ken is like, she was like, please, 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 please,
please. No, please, you don't understand. You don't understand.
Like, what?
Now, Olga, and I don't know about eyelash extension. To me, it's like, what if you take your makeup off? Like, do they just get pulled off? Like, if I've gotten my makeup done for something like when we did our Broadway show, I put some fake lashes on just for because we're on the stage. I do them very rarely, but it is sort of like these removable ones. You just wipe your eye off to take your makeup off.
Extensions.
I don't know how you can possibly do that, but I feel like you must be a magician if you can do it.
We see her doing it at one point, and it looks like surgery.
Yeah. That's why I'm too scared to do it. But they look amazing.
Well, and that's the whole thing was this lady is pounding on the door saying, please, I desperately need an eyebrow extension. And Olga's like,
eyelash extension.
Oh, God, what's the difference?
Because your eyebrows are here.
Oh, those
eyebrows are above your lashes and your lashes are attached to your eyelids.
Why do you randomly have patches of hair above your eyes? It doesn't make, now that I'm really looking at it, it looks really fucking weird.
I know.
Why do you have that?
That's weird. Two little caterpillars just hanging out up there.
Why do we have these?
I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know.
It looks really weird on you.
Okay, great. Thanks. What do I do with this information?
Go shave them off. What are we doing
here?
That
I promise, I assure you that would be a much worse situation for all of us. You included.
Oh my God.
But Olga's like, girl, I'm sure it's an emergency, but I only work in the salon. I don't really do house calls.
No.
You're being
and you're at my house. How do you even know where I live?
Pounding on the door, what's going on? And Olga says no, but this Victoria person, quote, had a habit of being pushy.
She'd repeatedly suggested they spend time together outside of work.
She started acting like she's my friend,
Feeling uneasy, Olga refused Victoria's offers to hang out.
So not only is she forcing Olga to do house calls, and not even Olga going to Victoria's house, Victoria barging in on Olga.
Yeah.
She also wants to hang out not at the salon, and Olga's like, girl,
I
you're
really
my
don't want
client.
that.
We're not friends.
No.
You're my client. This is a transactional thing we got going on.
Which is kind of funny. I'm like, whenever I hear of people who aren't up for new friends, I don't really get it. I'm like, this Victoria lady seems nice, at least now.
I'm pounding on the door demanding an eyelash repair. Now, to be fair...
An eyelash extension.
An eyelash extension repair. To be fair, though, I feel like if it's an emergency, it's an emergency. It's so close to your eyes. Does it hurt? I don't know. I feel like if there's an issue close to your eye, we need that now. Do you know what I mean? So I get it as much as I possibly can. And in my head, it's so much bigger than it is.
Yeah. I mean, just Olga!
Oh, yeah.
Olga!
Oh, my God. So Olga's like, girl, no.
I know.
But now this is where we get the start of hearing no less than 500 times that Olga and Victoria look exactly alike. I'm not seeing it at all. They're both like white with brown hair.
Yeah.
And other than that, like a totally different bone structure, different eyebrow shape, which I know you hate now.
They're so weird. I'm looking at them again.
Different lip shape.
Why do you have hair on your face like that?
I don't know. Different eye color. And I'm like, 48 hours.
I know.
This is a little bit of a reach. But we will hear from now even until like the news gets wind of this. They're like shockingly similar looking, separated at birth twins. And I'm like,
they're like 10 years apart in age.
I mean, I guess it's like they have brown hair.
I know.
I'm not seeing it. I'm not saying that like to be shady. They insist, everyone. The cops, our host, the news reporters, everyone's insisting that they look exactly the same. And I'm like, I know. I feel like I should see the resemblance more.
It does become important down the road.
I guess.
You know what I mean? It's like kind of an important plot point eventually.
Okay. Well, but do you see it, or am I missing something? Because if I am, tell me.
They eventually do a side by side, and I can see that like Victoria needs them to look like each other, and I can see a world in which, like, if you're handing a bouncer at a bar this ID saying you're this lady, he's not going to question you.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Okay.
Whatever.
It's not like the one time I tried to use Steve's ID to get into a bar, the bouncer was like, no.
Was this?
Yeah, this was
recently?
not. No, this was no. This was
like
nope.
What? Okay.
While Olga turned down socializing with Victoria, she relented to her pleas for eyelash help and told her to come over. Olga's uneasy feeling returned when Victoria showed up at her door with 3 small slices of cheesecake.
But she says, okay, fine, come over, I'll help you. And Victoria shows up with 3 small slices of cheesecake.
Of what they call famous cheesecake. And I'm like, okay, but where? Because we're in New York now, right?
Do you have like a cheesecake spot?
Are we talking about Venero's? Are we talking about Rocco's? Junior's? Like, what kind of cheesecake are we talking about here, Victoria? You're not going to say famous cheesecake in New York and then not mention the name of the place?
I mean, Olga does not know. We learned that Victoria quickly gobbles up 2 of the slices and then insists that Olga try the last one.
Right. So she ate 2. She brought over 3. Yeah. She ate 2 and then basically forces Olga to eat the 3rd.
And then Olga, the host says to Olga, did you eat the whole piece? And Olga goes, yes, it was a small piece.
It was a small piece. And cheesecake and I'm not a big dessert person, but cheesecake can go like that.
I know, but she was trying to let us know that, like, it's fine that she ate the whole thing because it was small. And I said, Olga, have a chip and live.
Eat it.
Have a chip and live, girl.
Eat the cake. You're fine.
Eat the cake.
Well, actually, I take that back because Olga had, and I think what she's trying to say is, like, she had a small piece and then she got violently ill. So she just had, like, a couple of bites, but like, and she's getting really, really sick and she doesn't remember anything after that.
Legit throwing up all over the place. Right. And then she, like, blacks out from cheesecake.
Now, the cops don't believe Olga.
Especially Officer Mark.
Rogers wondered if she was a drug user.
I said to her, I said, Olga, I want to believe you. However, this doesn't add up. But she was adamant. This 100% happened, and this woman is up to something.
I don't understand what's not adding up for you here, Mark.
Right.
Why would she call the cops pretending to have lost purses?
And the poisoned cheesecake.
Right. Why don't you believe her? It doesn't make any sense.
To be fair, he's like, poisoned cheesecake, I've never heard. Knives, machetes, guns, yes.
Suffocation,
cheesecake?
Fires, drownings.
I don't know.
All of them.
But then he's like, Olga's, running her mouth. I'm not believing a word she says. And I look over into the trash can and he sees the like takeout container with like cheesecake remnants in it. Evidence. But he goes, oh, that looked good. That looked good. That looked real good.
And we see it. We see a picture of the cheesecake container remnants.
It's an empty, small plastic container with hardly, it's like someone licked to get every morsel off it. There's barely anything left.
I know.
That's how good it was. I'm like, I'm thinking it's Venero. Could be Rocco's.
Oh, my God. So, wait, Olga identifies this as the cheesecake box, to which Mark tells his team to bag it and tag it.
We are so serious about cheesecake. Now, I want Olga. I want the best for Olga. I want her to be healthy forever. I want to get whoever did this to her. But it's like, Olga ID'd it as the cheesecake box. Like, I know we got to do the cop speak.
Bag it and tag it, GP.
But there's something about the cop speak and cheesecake.
I know.
It's a little humorous.
Mark is very serious. He's been doing this for 20 years.
Right. And he won't hear, like, Mark, but it's cheesecake. He's like, I know, exactly. She ID'd it. Cheesecake remnants.
Rogers told his evidence team to bag it and tag it. Whatever had been in that box, Olga said it had made her very sick.
You almost died.
Yeah, I was in coma 34 minutes.
I was in a coma for 34 minutes.
34 minutes. But the doctors didn't find anything suspicious in her system. But she was hospitalized twice and in a coma for 34 minutes. I'm like, and then you just let her walk home?
I know. We are going to learn that, like, these hospitals really aren't doing a deep dive in their, like, tox screens. You know what I mean?
Right. We start with, like, the minimum, the bare minimum tox screen. And
they're
then we
looking
work our
for,
way
like,
up.
bleach. If there's no bleach in her system, there's nothing.
They just send her home.
They send her home. You know, just walk.
The case goes cold, not unlike the cheesecake she ate.
Oh.
They can't find Victoria. They barely believe Olga, so they're not working on the case at all. They're like, you had a stomach, okay, you had some bad cheesecake, you had a little stomach issue.
But then we learned that, like, a few months later, a witness comes forward, to which I said, there's holes in the story here. What do you mean a witness comes forward to who?
Because it says a witness comes forward about seeing Victoria at Olga's house the day after the alleged cheesecake incident.
I wrote the cheesecake incident. I literally cannot.
I mean, the cheesecake incident.
But I'm like, hang on a second. The case is dead. Mark didn't believe her anyway. So who did the witness call? And why did it take him like a month to do it?
We learned that this witness found Olga passed out.
Yeah. Well, because,
so who are they?
Well, the witness's story is that, like, they passed who we will learn is Victoria later, like in the courtyard or whatever. Victoria tells the witness, oh, Olga is sick. The witness goes to check on her. I'm like, hero neighbor that you're going to go check on your neighbor.
Right.
Her room was like a sauna. Someone had turned the heat on full blast, even though it was a hot August day. And Olga was passed out in the bed, barely dressed.
When she's discovered in this sort of racy lingerie.
Olga was stunned by this detail because she had been wearing sweatpants.
Olga is shocked to learn that she's in sexy lingerie because she had passed out in sweatpants.
And I'm like, sweatpants in August?
I know. But, so, honey, you're missing you're burying the lead here.
Am I?
I will.
Sweatpants in August?
I know.
Explain yourself.
I know. No. It's pretty bad.
I mean,
it's pretty bad.
Please.
But what they're saying is that somebody changed Olga in the middle of the night.
Right, to make it look like an overdose or a suicide or something.
Like she put on sexy
it.
lingerie and then spilled pills all over the floor.
Like, what
Victoria.
horrible, like, novels are you reading? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
what is this, Dynasty?
If the idea is to make it look like she killed herself, the pills would be in her mouth, not on the floor.
Right. And also, like, what does, like, lingerie versus sweatpants have to do with anything?
Right, like she got on her sexy lingerie to take her own life.
Like what?
I know.
Or overdose? Like, I'm going to have a what?
Victoria's
a
not
little
good
bit
at
of
this.
me time? Like, no. Victoria
Tipsy's
sucks.
here.
Like, Victoria is the worst. After this witness comes forward, this is when the cops finally believe Olga because a man was like, hey, you should believe her. So they're like, okay.
Right.
And then Detective Rogers is like, yeah, I had to do that uncomfortable apology thing where I had to be like, I didn't believe you and now I do.
Well, now, so this is Detective Rogers. It's Detective Mark, as I'm calling him.
Yeah.
He turns his attention to trying to find Victoria, but where could she possibly be?
I don't know.
But this is where we learn that somebody else at the same time is also trying to find Victoria. His name is Herman Weisberg. He's a PI. He's a retired NYC detective. This guy loves his job.
Former cop, current PI, loving every second of it.
I gotta tell you, I thought he was kind of like, I thought he was just kind of like a gross New York City PI. This guy turns out to be great.
We're all gonna learn some things from Herman today.
He's really good at his job. You think he loves it?
He loves it. He's totally in the right line of work. Like, he's good. He knows what he's doing.
Totally.
And so he's tracking Victoria online. He's like, he finds all of her social media. She's on these Russian dating sites because she's Russian. She is a sex worker. She works as a dominatrix. And so Herman's like, here's what she was doing.
She was advertising her services as a dominatrix. You could call it /escort.
He believed Victoria was using online ads to commit crimes of opportunity.
She would knock out with knockout drugs, taking money, watches, jewelry, whatever she can get.
She drugs you.
Drugs you and robs you.
Yeah.
Oldest trick in the book.
Put a pin in Weisberg. We'll be back to him for a moment because we got to go back to Olga. Olga's back at work.
Olga's back at work and she's telling everybody about what happened.
We're also watching her do an eyebrow extension.
Right. Eyelash extension.
You know what nobody needs? An eyebrow extension.
I mean,
no, we don't need those things on your face to be longer. Why do you have them? They look so weird on you.
Have your finger in my face.
I've never, ever really thought about eyebrows before. They're so bizarre.
I guess.
It's like a mustache above your
It is. An upside-down mustache on both eyes.
Why does your eye have a mustache?
I don't know.
It's so weird.
Probably for some kind of protection.
I would think.
Catch debris or whatever.
Oh, my God. But wait, back at work, Olga learns something.
Well, she's telling everyone about Victoria poisoning her, basically. And one day, one of her other clients is like, wait a second. I think I know this woman because I think she poisoned my husband's friend.
His name is Ruben.
His name is Ruben.
This guy, he's here. His name is Ruben Rubikoff. He owns a dry cleaning business and he fucking loves it.
He loves
If you think Weisberg loves being a PI, Rubikoff loves.
They all love their jobs.
They love their. And like, what
and
a blessing.
Olga loves it too.
Olga loves her
Olga's
job.
excellent
She's
at it.
great at it. What a blessing to love your job.
I know, right?
My God, from somebody who like hated his job for 20 years. Jesus.
So let's go 2 months earlier. This is Ruben's story.
Can I just say, we see so much B-roll of Ruben unloading dry cleaning from
so
trucks.
Much.
He loves it.
He loves
He's in the best mood ever. This guy is so happy.
And he's just like so super proud of it.
Yes.
And, you know, so he meets Viktoria on a Russian dating site, and she invites him over to her house for a nice fish dinner.
Because she loves to cook and he loves to eat, says Ruben.
Okay, Rubes. Look, match made in heaven, right?
Match made in heaven.
So
come over, let me cook for you.
We don't know what kind of fish it was.
Nope.
But he takes one bite of fish and he's out of it for 3 days. He's sick for 3 days.
But Viktoria, I'm only laughing because Ruben is here with a smile on his face the whole time. So
he's
I feel
like, can you believe this shit?
Can you believe this fucking happened to me? He's like in a coma for 3 days being attended to by Viktoria, who takes $1,000 in cash and charges $2,400 on his Amex.
Right.
They've been together for 5 minutes. They just met.
Yeah, and he's passed out one bite of fish.
Then 2 days, oh my God, the writing of this episode.
2 days later, Ruben was still out of it when Viktoria literally took him to the cleaners. One of Ruben's employees took this video.
She was walking here and there and making some stories to my workers. Oh, we had wine. He drank 2 bottles of wine. I don't remember nothing.
Viktoria literally took him to the cleaner.
So what she does is she brings him back to his own business.
I can't get enough.
And an employee records the entire thing. Because remember, Ruben's been like out of commission for 3 days. Nobody knows where he is, right?
Nobody loves their job more than Ruben. He's been missing for 2 days. Ruben's not going to go 2 days without doing the dry cleaning.
No, he loves it, right? And also, like, he is running this place and you don't know where your boss is. Like, that's a scary thing, right? So she brings him back to his own business. And employee's recording everything. And Viktoria's like, he's hammered. He had 2 bottles of wine. And I'm like, 3 days ago.
We can also see him sitting there. She's like, you drank 2 bottles of wine, right? And he's looking at her like he doesn't know who she is or where he is.
Victoria's like, maybe he'd take a pill or something. And she's sitting in his office chair, by the way. She is acting like she owns the place now. I'm like, did Ruben in a stupor sign over his life's work to her? Who does she think she is sitting in his office chair at work?
But Ruben's
sister, come in and have all these lies about him. He's hammered, he's whatever.
But she's not done yet. Ruben's sister calls an ambulance, and before the ambulance gets there, Viktoria flees the scene, but not before going down into the basement where she steals a few $100s and their watch off his wrist.
Right.
She takes as they're loading him into the ambulance, she grabs the watch for good measure.
Yeah. Oh, also, as if this isn't bad enough,
Private Eye Herman Weisberg says when it comes to Viktoria Nasyrova, Olga and Ruben may have been the lucky ones. In 2017, Weisberg began working with this woman, Nadia Ford. Nadia said her mother, Alla Alexienko, with whom she was very close, had gone missing back home in Russia.
Victoria's a fucking murderer.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, and like not just attempted, because these are attempted murders, which is bad enough, obviously, because the intent is there, but she's an actual murderer.
Well, now we're going to learn about that. That's why this Weisberg private investigator is back.
So we're back in 2017. Yeah. We meet Nadia Ford. I urge you all, do not fuck with Nadia.
Please do not fuck with Nadia.
It's not that she doesn't have the time, it's that she will destroy you.
Yep. Right.
And she has every right to.
Nadia's amazing. We learned in 2017 her mother went missing back home in Russia.
Right. And they spoke every single day.
And just before the mom vanished, she's telling her, like, oh, by the way, Nadia, this young lady moved in next door and she's my best friend now. Guess who it is?
It's fucking Viktoria, my new best friend. So now we're going back to 2014, right? So Viktoria, once again, was very, very pushy.
Yes.
And Nadia and everyone is like, this friendship didn't really make sense. Like my mom, like there's a big age difference. Victoria's like kind of super glam and she always has like her eyelash extensions or whatever. God. And Nadia's mom was just sort of not like, if Viktoria and Olga look exactly the same.
Yeah.
These two are polar opposites.
Because it's like Viktoria is Nadia's age. Nadia is Alla's daughter.
Yeah.
But it's Viktoria and Alla back in Russia spending all this time together.
And look, I love an odd couple.
Sick.
I love an unexpected friendship. But Nadia is trusting her gut and she's like, Mom, I don't like this. What's going on?
And so the mom says to Nadia, so the mom and Viktoria both live in Russia. The daughter, Nadia, lives in Brooklyn.
Right.
In the fall of 2014, Alla had told Nadia she would be sending her daughter special gifts. Her new best friend, Viktoria, would bring them. Victoria would be carrying $6,000 in cash and other valuables, including 2 fur coats, to be hand-delivered to Nadia. But Victoria never showed.
But Victoria never shows up. And obviously she didn't show up, right? She took the money and ran and whatever. So Nadia called her mother, and remember, they spoke every day, and she can't reach her mom.
And she says she called her mother, the day the mom went missing, she called the mom 100, literally, she's not being hyperbolic, 100 times.
She said at least 100 times. And I just over and over and over and over again.
And she, Nadia's terrified. She said for 8 years, she had never once not answered the phone when I called.
Right. Eventually, we get the mom's phone records, and Nadia looks at them, and we see that the last call her mom received was from Victoria at 11 p.m. and then no more calls after that.
Yeah. So this is where the timeline got a little confusing for me, because we were told that Nadia decides she's got to go back to Russia to figure out what happened with her mother.
And she knows Victoria's behind it.
Yes. And 48 hours, so we took her back to Russia, and I was like, wait a second.
To re-traumatize Nadia.
Right. Yes. So Nadia immediately, 2 years ago, went back to Russia, and now 48 hours is taking her back to recreate what she did in her own, personal investigation there.
And you could see on her face, because they make her go to a lot of these places. And I'm like, you're just re-traumatizing this poor woman.
They live in this town called I believe the town is called Krasnodar. It's 800 miles south of Moscow by the Black Sea. It looks very cute. I Googled pictures of it today.
Oh, cute.
Seems like a very cute little town.
Here's what happened when Nadia went to Russia, and now she's telling 48 hours as they all went back again. So Nadia convinces Victoria to meet her outside of her mom's apartment building.
This is after the mom's gone missing, and Nadia knows Victoria is 100% behind it.
And Victoria was supposed to be in Brooklyn with all the gifts, and now she's not there. She never showed up, whatever. So Nadia confronts Victoria.
She says Victoria loudly insisted Allah was alive.
And then she ran up the stairs. And then I'm like, where are you going? Why are you running?
And if she runs up here, are you chasing her?
Exactly, yeah.
Nadia told us she notified police and took them inside her mother's apartment.
I guess Victoria just vanishes because all of a sudden Nadia's calling the cops and letting them into the mom's apartment.
Right.
And she says she quickly realizes that the place has been looted. So all the family heirlooms, all the expensive jewelry, it's all gone. And $40,000 in cash that the mom kept in a secret hiding spot under the floorboard.
Her life savings.
Oh my God, put it in the bank. Although, is it corrupt? I don't know.
You're always saying to bury your money in the woods.
I'm saying if you have millions, take $1 million and put it under a tree in the woods.
Okay.
In a box. But if $40,000 is what if the house burns down? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Makes me nervous. Or some trash bag named Victoria moves in next door.
And convinces you, let's tell each other secrets. It's girl talk on a sleepover.
I don't know, if you had $40,000 in cash hidden somewhere in the house, just for fun, where would that even be, though?
And all is you're actually standing right on it.
You're standing on it. We see them pulling back the carpet and pulling up the floorboard to the secret hiding spot. I was like, oh my God.
I know.
So the police are no help. Nadia, of course, reports all this to the cops, and they say to her, sit tight. Victoria's definitely going to come back. We're not going to go looking for her, but I'm sure she'll turn up eventually.
Yeah, and so Nadia's going all around town looking for her mother.
She's going all over the country. She's going all over the country, putting up flyers. She's desperate to find. She doesn't care about this stuff. She wants her mother back.
Now, Nadia's calling Victoria and begging her to tell her what's going on. And she's like, look, you can have my apartment. I'll give you all the money you want. I just want to know what happened to my mom. It's so fucking sad.
It's awful.
Now, Nadia is driving around, and just another hard day at work for Nadia trying to get to the bottom of this thing.
Yeah.
And she
I
notices...
don't know what Nadia does for a living that she can afford to just leave her life and come look for her mother for however long it takes.
I think that's no longer a question when the cops aren't helping you and Victoria's a nightmare. I think it's just sorry, work, I'll be back when I'm back.
Yeah.
I have shit to do.
How do you have money? How can you afford it?
Well, what's interesting, you should ask. Nadia's driving around and she notices these traffic cameras and she's like, I wonder if maybe they recorded my mom or Victoria. And so Peter Van Zandt, the host of 48 Hours, goes,
but you got to get access to these photographs. How do you do that?
It's Russia. You buy things. You have money, you buy things.
It's Russia. You buy things. You have money, you buy things.
She's talking about bribing the cops.
And I'm like,
oh my God.
So Nadia gets these images, or she gets this footage, and she sees her mom and Victoria in a car. Now, I see two blobs. I believe Nadia. I believe her.
The images are from 100 miles away from the mom's house, the mom's apartment. And Nadia's I guess when you know somebody and you've known them your whole life, you can just recognize
and it's probably
them.
her car.
It's her car, yeah. It's just it does look like two blobs.
Right.
But Nadia is convinced it's Victoria and her mother.
And I believe Nadia.
So Nadia, the daughter, calls the cops and she's like, "I've got the footage because I bribed you.
I bribed
Remember you gave me the
Yeah.
gave me the
And
images."
they're like, "Sure, it's Russia. You have money. You can
It's
buy
money,
things."
exactly. And she's like, "It shows my mom." And the cops are like, "Girl, we've got these pictures too. Like when you bribed us, we went and actually looked at the camera footage ourselves.
Great.
And like we've already had these pictures. So like the cops finally look into it.
Nadia says they confirmed Viktoria rented this car with these plates, tracked her down, and brought her in for a lie detector test. But before the results could come back, unbeknownst to the cops, Viktoria caught the first flight out of Russia.
Viktoria hops on like the next flight out of Russia. Don't they do that, like the results in real time? Are we always watching them like...
I mean, I thought like with the little Sharpie
Maury
on the paper.
Povich can say you are not the father
I know.
in real time, why can't the Russian police do it?
Yeah, and I don't know why they were like, because they made it seem like everything was riding on the results of this test. And then they were like, all right, just check back in with us tomorrow. Of course she's going to bail.
Of course.
Right? And so this was October. So by April of the next year, the cops eventually find Nadia's mother, Alla's remains.
Yeah, we got this like really sad moment from Nadia where she said, "I literally gave up my entire life to find my mother. I quit everything and everyone. I did not believe that she was not alive."
Yeah.
And they do. It's April 2015. Nadia gets the phone call that they found charred human remains in a remote area about a 2-hour drive from Alla's apartment. And Nadia, this is so awful. I don't know why this has to happen like this, but Nadia is called in to identify the body. And at first she's like, "Nope, it's not my mom." And then she said she saw her teeth and she recognized her mother and identified her from her teeth.
Yeah.
It's just like, I wouldn't be able to do it.
No.
If it was like Steve and they're like, "I need you to come and identify this charred body," I would say no. I'd be like, "Jillian, you have to do it."
Right. And then 48 hours is like, yeah, sob story, kid. Let's go back to Russia and then let's go to that location and have you relive it again.
I know. They're like, "We're here. We may as well."
You can't just sit in a nice little room and have a conversation with Nadia. We have to like reopen all of these wounds for her.
I know. Nadia does seem like tough as nails, and she definitely wants to tell the story because she wants to fucking get this woman.
No, and I'm glad. I love that Nadia's here, but I'm feeling for her a lot in these moments.
And we learned that like by now Interpol issues an international arrest warrant for Viktoria, but I'm like, then go look for her.
Right.
How does that work?
But meanwhile, Nadia's like, "Okay, government." Nadia finds Viktoria in 2 seconds on Facebook.
Well, this is so weird. So like Nadia goes back to Brooklyn.
Nadia went home to Brooklyn, determined as ever to track down Viktoria Nasyrova. On a whim, she turned to Facebook, and you'll never guess whose face popped up on the screen.
Victoria was posting pictures all over Facebook, checking in at this place, at that place. Beautiful life.
She puts her name into Facebook and up pops Nadia. Like, she's not even trying to hide.
Like, Nadia for real Nadia.
Yeah, Nadia
She's
for real.
partying. She's going out to restaurants. She flew to Mexico. And I'm like, what was the arrest warrant for then? If there's an international arrest warrant, how is she getting on planes?
I know. I mean, unless she took somebody else's ID or something.
Maybe she did.
You know?
Yeah, maybe.
How many bodies? Oh, my God.
I mean, if she has another ID, hopefully she just swiped it and left it at that, right? Ugh.
She's in Mexico. Then she flies to New York. We see all these like Facebook posts of her. She's just living the life.
And Nadia.
And remember, she's like got that $40,000 from Nadia's mom in cash.
And the other $6,000 that she was supposed to give to Nadia that she didn't.
And then like expensive fur coats, I'm sure.
That I'm sure she sold. And so Nadia tells the cops all of this.
And immigration.
And they can't find Viktoria. And I'm like, useless.
Honest to God, it's like we know where she was 5 minutes ago.
Explain that international warrant to me then.
Right.
How is she?
But this is when Nadia hires that PI Herman Weisberg.
Right.
And he like, okay, this is where the guy, Herman, was like, I was like, all right, this guy really knows what he's doing.
So Herman's looking at all of her photos because stay stupid, everyone.
Yeah.
She's posting everything, every move she's making, she's posting online.
And like the thing, it's like out of a movie because like she wears these enormous Jackie O sunglasses that all are very reflective.
Yes.
And she's taking selfies and he's like looking at the sunglasses to see like he can see the whole room.
Right.
What happens is that like he's like looking at a picture of her, he sees that she's in a car. It's kind of cool what he does. He sees the stitching of the car headrest.
The stitching on that back headrest, yeah, that's just black leather with a light gray stitching on it. I decided the next morning I was going to be at a big parking lot at a train station.
He walked row after row of vehicles, peering into windows, hoping to find the make and model that had that stitching.
He drives to the nearest train station near to like where he lives, where the most cars would be, so he can literally go car to car looking for that stitching.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing, guy? This seems like a waste of time. No, he finds it. He finds the exact stitching in a Chrysler 3000S. Is that what it is?
It's a Chrysler 300. Well, I just kept thinking
a Chrysler 3000S.
Right, which would make complete sense. What do those letters mean? It doesn't matter. But I just kept thinking about the Cat Williams bit, which I will not quote because I'm not Michael Scott. But he has a joke about a Chrysler 300, so I just kept hearing his voice say a Chrysler 300. It's something about how people get like really fancy cars and they're like they want to make their Chrysler 300 look like a Phantom or like a really funny car, and he's like, no, it looks like a Chrysler 300.
But like the Chrysler 300 looks kind of fancy, no?
Yeah, I guess that was the joke.
Yeah.
I can't pick a car out of a lineup, so I don't really know.
Same.
Like, could you tell me what a Chrysler 300 is?
Are you kidding
Exactly.
me? I can barely tell you. No.
Exactly. Thank you.
I can't even think of what I can't tell you. I'm so stupid.
I rest my case.
Okay, great.
So now Herman's like, we got her. So we got to track her down.
Well, the thing that is so crazy is that like this woman is so stupid. She's like liking all the things in this one area of Brooklyn called
And she's doing check-ins. She's like checking into locations, restaurants, and all this stuff.
You guys, she lives 5 miles from Nadia. They are both from Russia. This lady probably killed Nadia's mother. She lives 5 miles away from Nadia in Brooklyn.
In Sheepshead Bay. So Herman and his team...
So you sent some of your investigators to look for one of these Chrysler 300s. Did they have any luck?
Well, yeah, we found a bunch of them. Then the next day, I had somebody run the license plates. And luckily, we found one that came back to a Russian-sounding name.
Only one of them came back with a Russian-sounding name. So now they drop on us. Like, this is happening in real time.
It's happening. And 48 hours takes us to the fucking car. Not to like a car that looks like the car. They take us to Nadia's car.
Chrysler 300 parked on the street.
Right.
I'm like, where is she? Is she
like,
watching you do this? So Herman, like, they get the car registration and all the information. And now Herman, the PI, goes to the building on the car's registration. And he's like, wait a second.
This is the PI. This guy's amazing.
I know this building.
Yeah.
He clocks the building from one of Victoria's selfies because of her Jackie O sunglasses.
So she's literally in the building in a bathroom, and she takes a selfie where in the sunglasses you can see a telephone pole and 2 manhole covers.
And like a lamppost out the window.
Out the window. And he literally points, he's like, it's all right there. That's
right there.
The 2 manhole covers and the telephone pole. Like you're looking back and forth and you're like, oh my God, this PI is worth every penny, Nadia.
Jesus, Herman. You are absolutely in the right line of work.
100%.
Like, there's no,
Can you
you're
imagine?
amazing at this.
I know.
Amazing. So the building is where Victoria lives. It's her boyfriend's apartment.
Yes.
But they live together. And the car was his too.
Yes.
She lives 5 blocks away from Nadia.
And I'm just going to say, the host says to Nadia, did you try to go out there and find her? And Nadia goes, no. And she goes, why? He goes, because I would kill her.
You know what, Nadia? I believe you.
I know.
Absolutely.
Don't put yourself in a situation if you're going to commit murder.
Like, seriously. So now we get like this woman.
I know.
So the boyfriend eventually rats her out in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But he tells 48 Hours that Victoria was so jealous of this guy's dog named Joey the Beagle.
Apparently, Victoria got very jealous of the dog getting some of the spotlight in their house and decided to poison the Beagle, allegedly, on the Beagle's birthday. I'm a dog lover, so that stuff.
That guy, I've seen him on TV.
And Joey the Beagle's demise didn't sit well with Victoria's neighbors either.
She killed his dog, that bitch. Killed his dog.
This neighbor goes, she killed that dog. The bitch, she killed his dog. And I'm like, where's she? I want to talk to her.
Your aunt makes a cameo.
That's my cousin Cheryl or whatever. This woman will not stop poisoning living creatures.
I know.
And it reminded me of a scene, I'm sorry, everyone, of a scene in Big Love where Bill Henderson says to his brother, get your wife to stop poisoning people. And the brother goes, I'm trying. And it reminded me, like, someone's got to tell her to stop poisoning people.
I mean,
living creatures. What a monster.
She's just like constant. And also, like, boyfriend, what did you do when you found out she poisoned your dog? Did you kick her out?
Yeah, why were you still living there? Like, what is going on?
I mean, the PI goes, if she were left unarrested, this could have been really ended poorly for Brooklyn.
And Nadia's like, excuse me, my mom would, like, are you kidding?
I know.
So Herman, the PI, calls Homeland Security and all these people. They both decline to take action.
But one of the organizations he calls is Interpol, like the very people who put out an arrest warrant for her. He's like, I found her.
Yeah. Again, what is the point of an international arrest warrant then?
It's unbelievable. So they call the good old fashioned NYPD.
God, and they're like, yeah, we'll arrest her. We'll arrest anybody. We got a black guy in there too. We'll happily arrest him.
Oh my God.
And on March 20th, 2017, the police made their move. The woman who had once posed as a dominatrix suddenly found herself in handcuffs.
Suddenly found herself in the handcuffs.
Oh, God. Now, the cop, Detective Mark, from what everyone is calling the Cheesecake case, is like, wait a second. Wait a second. I have yet another apology because he's like, wait a second. Victoria wanted to kill Olga with that cheesecake. All she does is poison people, right? So, like, that has to be what it is. And his theory is that Victoria's going to assume Olga's identity because we found Olga's ID in Victoria's apartment.
So the apartment where she lived with the boyfriend and the dog that she murdered, when they raided that apartment, in Victoria's possession was Olga's ID.
Right.
And they're saying that Victoria's visa was about to be up. She knew she would have to go back to Russia where she was facing fucking murder charges.
Right.
So she needed the ID to stay in the United States. And this is where they do the thing where they do the side-by-side pictures. And I'm like, she looks enough like Olga that she could get away with it. No one's going to question it.
And you know what? You can do amazing things with makeup. I watch Drag Race.
It's true. Well, listen, Olga does the eyelash extension.
But look, a little contouring.
Oh my God.
Right?
I know. So we're back with Detective Mark, and, his theory was that the whole cheesecake poisoning was to kill Olga so that Victoria could assume her identity.
Right.
And they say, like, in order for them to be able to prove that, they have to prove that the cheesecake had been poisoned. They whip out the fucking cake box.
Yeah,
like the
little
original
plastic container.
From, like, however many years ago in Olga's apartment, like, they still have it. They send it in.
It must smell so bad.
Oh, God. Can you, like, cheesecake in general
cheese.
smells bad.
It's just like milk and cheese.
Well, they say when they originally sent it in for testing, it came back with nothing. And this is where I'm saying they're not really looking very hard for things.
Then they have to like do more extensive testing.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm sure it's super expensive and that's why they don't start with it. But like, here's an argument as to why we should start with the extensive testing first.
But it's also like this lady was super sick. Like that guy was in a coma for 3 days.
Right.
Like do the testing. So they do. And they find this drug, phenazepam.
Yeah.
Phenazepam is a sedative primarily used at the time in Russia.
It makes you sleepy.
Yeah, sleepy, then coma, then death.
Rogers learned that phenazepam is especially dangerous in a hot environment.
And it's especially dangerous in a hot environment.
So remember when Olga was found and she was passed out in that lingerie and someone put her in lingerie, the heat was cranked up and it was already August.
In August.
So Victoria was trying to kill her.
I mean, oh my God.
Open and shut case, right?
Open and shut. So Victoria's charged with attempted murder, assault, and grand larceny. But before we get to the trial, Olga agrees to sit down with 48 hours for the interview.
Peter Van Zandt and us, we're all going to Rikers.
Fucking Rikers.
To talk to Victoria.
Oh
now,
my God.
Victoria is here. This is before her trial. She speaks mostly in Russian.
Yeah.
And she denies having anything to do with Alla's murder. And then they ask her about poisoning Olga. And Peter Van Zandt once again tells her how much they both look alike.
Totally.
He's like, you know that woman who looks exactly like you? Did you poison her? What's the deal? And Victoria says, yes, I know her.
This is kind of a big deal.
I did not force her to eat the cheesecake. I admit to part of it, but I'm only going to talk about that at the trial.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, wait, what?
Which also implies that she's going to take the stand in her own defense.
Of course.
Like, oh my God.
She's very pushy. She can't wait.
But so she goes back to, she's in prison for 6 years awaiting trial because of the pandemic.
Right.
6 fucking years.
Yeah, but that also means that she was already waiting for 3 and then the pandemic.
Oh my
delayed
God.
it because she goes to court in January of 2023.
Yeah, they still, once again, they whip out the cheesecake container.
Yep, they still have it.
It's now like 8 years old or whatever.
Olga testifies against Victoria, and Nadia also testifies. And Nadia says this thing. She goes,
I was trying to get her. Look at me. Look at the person whose mother you killed. Look into my eyes. Remember them for the rest of your life.
Look into my eyes. Remember them for the rest of your life. And I'm like, how many times do we have to say it? Do not fuck with Nadia.
Do not fuck with Nadia. I just want to point out the DA really wants the jury to see that cake box as the murder weapon. It's the murder weapon.
When I tell you, it's not even the big. It's just it's for like a single piece of cake to go. Yeah. It's so small, and it really it's like somebody licked it. There's not much on it.
No, but there are still crumbs all over the place.
Like a little just cheesecake remnants. So here's the thing about this though. So Nadia, whose mom was killed in Russia, she is testifying, but she can't talk about the murder case that's pending in Russia. So she needs to speak very, very carefully.
Meaning the judge won't allow that in. I fucking hate it when this happens. If somebody kills somebody, that should be able to be a part of anything. If they steal milk, it should be able to come into the trial.
But all she can say is like, it was a very serious crime. And then like looked to the jury.
And I really miss my mom.
Right. And I'm really like, I just thought like, oh, it's all about body language, as Ursula the Sea Witch would say. Because she's really trying to look like.
You can conjure any witch at any time. Any witch
Ursula.
at any time.
So now Viktoria didn't testify, which everyone was shocked about because, quote, she likes to talk.
Yeah. But also she had said that she was going to talk about it at the trial, remember?
But I guess what happened is her lawyer or whatever got wind of what she said on 48 Hours and then ended the fact that she was going to testify. However.
Oh my God, stay stupid.
Something she did say made it into the trial. Something she said to me in a part of her 48 Hours interview published online.
It's in evidence. Peter Van Zandt asked this woman in English, there is a woman named Olga who claims that you tried to kill her by giving her a piece of poisoned cheesecake. I did not force her to eat it?
So the lawyer is reading the transcript where it's like, yeah, I'll admit to some things, but not all of them.
Uh-huh.
All of that is being read and put on the record.
Well, and what she said was, yes, I brought the cheesecake over there. I did not force her to eat it. And the prosecutor is like, notice she didn't say I didn't lace it with poison.
Oh, right.
She's just saying I didn't force her to eat it.
Like, what a stupid but wonderful thing to say.
Totally.
Why would you even say it like that?
And it's like, why would you ever, you're going on trial for murder, why would you ever give an interview to 48 Hours? How stupid are you?
And I don't see a lawyer sitting next to her.
No. And it's the narcissism of it all, you know?
She can do whatever she wants.
Then, like, Viktoria, not only does Viktoria not take the stand in her own defense, her attorney calls no witnesses.
Because there are no witnesses.
Right.
It was her and Olga.
I just have like the main defense of Viktoria is her attorney saying nobody saw her put the poison in the cheesecake.
Like that sentence.
Like nobody saw it.
No one saw the poison go into the cheesecake.
I mean, in Viktoria's defense, they also say the doctors didn't find anything in Olga's system, but we learned they don't really fucking look for anything.
Right. Yeah, at the time they didn't, and now it's out of her system, so you can't go back and test it again.
Exactly.
And so this is when like the prosecutor says, you know, her visa was about to expire. She's facing these murder charges in Russia.
She like needs this fake ID. He tells us
there's only two categories of people that need someone else's ID. You have college kids under the age of 21 who want to borrow their buddy's ID to go drink. And then on the other hand, you have international fugitives who need someone's ID as a lifeline to stay in this country and not go back to Russia.
And then you have international fugitives who need someone else's ID as a lifeline to stay in this country and not go back to Russia.
Very specific. He says fugitives and murderers. Yeah. I'm like, just say Viktoria.
No.
So it takes the jury 90 minutes to come back with a guilty verdict.
I mean, they're out for 90 minutes. Can you imagine? I feel like they decided in like the first round of voting, and they're like, we should probably sit back here for an hour and a half.
Right? Why not?
We'll
Why?
just make it sound like we
it's just so clear.
It's so obvious.
So she's guilty of attempted murder in the second degree. She gets 21 years in prison, but she could be out in 15.
Yeah.
Now, as she's being escorted out.
Oh my God.
Viktoria like mumbles, but it's pretty clear.
Like to the judge.
She goes, fuck you.
To the judge.
And I'm like, the judge didn't do anything?
I know.
She just like this woman.
Well, she's wearing like a pandemic mask, so maybe the judge didn't hear it or something.
I heard it.
I heard it too.
What, was she mic'd?
Pretty blatant. I don't know.
Like, oh my God.
But like she goes back to Rikers, and then we see this incredibly upsetting footage of her getting the shit beat out of her by like other inmates at Rikers.
In 2018, yeah.
One inmate is dragging her down the hall by her hair.
It's really, really bad.
It's fucking awful.
Yeah.
Oh, and we learn.
And when she's done serving her time in America, Viktoria faces deportation and murder charges back in Russia.
She's got the 21-year sentence here, and as soon as she's out, she's got to go back to Russia to face murder charges.
Right. Meanwhile, Nadia and Olga...
Was it worth it?
No.
Was it worth it?
For what?
Victoria?
Yeah, like, no.
For the 2 fur coats and the $6,000?
Like, and the 40 grand. Like, I'm sure it adds up, but like, what a life to constantly be lying and running from the truth. Like, that's not fun.
You only do that if you have there's something in you need to do it.
But
you know
also,
what I mean?
she's just homicidal, because why are you killing the dog?
Oh my God.
Why are you... She's just like, it's so easy for her to just put harm on people and creatures. Like, she sucks.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, Nadia and Olga are best friends because this like horrible woman brought them together.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, if you're not in it, you can't really understand what it's like to be targeted by this horrible person.
I know. And they both like live in Brooklyn, and they're totally best friends. We see them like walking and holding hands and hugging.
Yeah.
At first I thought they were going to say they were a couple. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, no.
No.
But best friends is fine, too.
Best friends is totally fine.
And also, just quick update.
Yeah.
In 2018, Victoria sued Rikers after she was attacked, and the city settled, and she got $325,000.
To which I was like, where is that money? Tell me that money's going to Olga. You know what I mean? Or like Nadia's family.
Yeah, I don't know how it gets distributed, but like also we can't just like be letting that happen in prison. No. Rikers is notoriously very violent and
100%, but I'm just saying that like also Victoria should not have that money. You know what I mean?
No.
That should not go like on her commissary account.
No.
You know what
to like fight her legal fees in Russia probably.
Oh
I don't
my
know.
God.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's kind of sad. Olga probably can't eat cheesecake anymore, huh? She's got to live in New York. And she's like passing on the cheesecake.
I got to tell you, Olga, I lived in New York for 23 years at this point. And I think in that entire time, I've had maybe 2 slices of cheesecake. It's not for everybody.
It's not, you know what? And she didn't even really want to try. I think she's fine. She's like, I'm okay never having cheesecake for the rest of my life. And you know what, Olga? You and Nadia, do you. I love you both.
You absolutely fucking
You've
do you.
earned it.
Oh, girl, we did, what's it called?
The Case of the Poisoned Cheesecake, episode of 48 Hours.
Never in my life. I was texting you.
You and everyone else in this, never in my life.
Never. I was texting you all day. I could not believe how ridiculous this was.
I know.
What a wild, crazy, over the top. 48 hours, let's just hop on an airplane and go back to Russia and film some shit over there.
Like, all right, 48 hours, whatever.
Fam, join us over in the Patreon if you want more Jillian and me, and who could blame ya?
Yeah.
Over 450 full ad-free bonus episodes. You get them all the second you sign up. We just finished Never Let Him Go, which was really good. We're starting the
Manifesto of a Serial Killer.
Oh my God. It's all the series from Netflix and Hulu and Peacock and
yeah, the ones that are like several episodes.
Several episodes, yeah. So good. What are we doing next?
So there's a show called How I Caught My Killer.
Oh shit.
And we're doing the first episode, and it's the murder of Nikki Kuhnhausen.
And she catches her own killer?
No, it's a little bit of a misnomer. It's like a Web of Death type of title, but it's like all of her friends and family explaining like the evidence she left to help them find what happened to her.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All
but
right.
it's very victim based. The family and friends are all here. Like we learn a lot about Nikki and who she was, and she was an amazing person. So
wow.
Yeah.
All right, fam. Stay tuned for the trailer for that and our funny and hilarious outtakes. TM. Remember for years people
trademark.
What does TM mean?
But they were just like, what's TM? Like we were making a sound. It was TM for trademark.
Yeah.
TM.
Oh, we love you.
We love you. Bye.
All right, bye.
You know those people who post nonstop? Pics, vids, challenges? The people who give us full access to their lives, to who they are. That is 17-year-old Nikki Kuhnhausen.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
Social media, yeah, it was her thing.
She had like 10,000 followers.
But then one day, her posts just stop. Nikki disappears.
I thought someone had her tied up somewhere. She was hurt, and
Days go by. Her friends, family, and followers on edge. Then, investigators uncover their first major clue on Nikki's social media.
I couldn't believe what happened.
Can I just say really quickly, Viktoria Nasyrova is our criminal. I'm saying her name now because I can't say that name again.
Is it not Nasyrova?
Nasyrova. I said it correct.
Okay,
great. God's like, you know what we're going to do?
Yeah.
We're going to give him a mustache right above the eye. It's going to catch the debris.
For all that debris.
It's for the debris.
For the wind.
Right.
The debris. And I'm like, then why am I constantly getting things in my eye then? Why am I like, oh, there's something in my eye?
It's
Great
broken,
job.
God. It's broken.